just rejoining us.
For the reading, it's like there were two
Your bike.
Two or more letters or follow up to him.
Letters mean something.
Yeah, so his letter says you could not have come on the last one, which is on the 15th.
So if we go on Friday, it means that
it means after you did the content, he didn't come, you might have done another communication to him.
So when they copy, he's like, copy of the letter.
Yeah, but it was the last communication you're referring to. So, you sustain the information?
Yeah,
I'll say speaking. So, given that communication from Honorable Tweah, Mr. Tweah, that on the 15th you are being here and he was ill, I kind of been confused, and I think we should open. Look at the date, the medical record date. Maybe you think that's for the public, because it's a public figure. We need to know the date from the medical hospital as for the communication which he was there. Because there are video on YouTube, on the social media, the newspaper carried that 5 days ago, the minister had press conference responding to a lot of issues of national concern. And he's really not responding like he was for us, or will appear before the press. So I think medical document consistent with the date that he could not appear before us. Thank you.
Okay. The issue here is we wrote a couple of communications. I believe one of which specifically mentioned that he should come under contempt charges. He didn't respond, he didn't appear at all, but instead wrote a communication responding to at least 2 of our communications that he could not come because of ill health. I think the suggestion that we should get to know the date that he visited the hospital, I think it's in order, and so we ask the chief clerk just to inform us on what are those dates that he may have visited the hospital.
All right. Mr. Presiding, distinguished members of this august body, in my hand is a medical report from 14 military hospital. The date, as mentioned here, is 12 on the 7th day, 2023, meaning the 12th month, 7th day, 2023. That's what is on the medical report attached to the communication.
So December
7, 2023.
2023 is the date.
The date he visited the 14 military hospital.
Okay. Yeah, that's the information.
I'm resigning the civil code. If the medical report is stating and testifying to the 7th, which will be around the first period or first time of the content, the minister was also written to come again on another date, which is stated in the letter for the 15th. So how can that medical report suffice for the 15th appearance? That's my concern.
Okay, so then the matter is before us with the information we have based on the medical report and the excuse requested to purge the contempt charge. The matter is before us. Yes, Honorable God and Honorable Bishop. Oh, and then Bob Samuel. Honorable Samuel, sorry.
Mr. Presiding, distinguished colleagues, before I even go to the discussions, I'll go harsh message. I'll go harsh. I'll go maga. And Mr. Presiding, if he goes to Google, or let me just say this, I think the minister in communications written, it indicates that he does not have a remorse on his actions. Mr. Presiding, if you look at the war brush, and if you must divide it, it's not a collective war. It's removing something with violence. Mr. Presiding, Article 44 is clear. It allows issues that impede our function and leads to contempt charges. The ministers in his communications should have appealed and leave it to our descriptions, not to ask us to pause. That was some harsh, and I believe that the ministers should recall a communication and do a decent communications to this body. Mr. Presiding, few minutes ago, the recast and the national budget were before us. The Constitution is clear that all financial instruments should emanate from the House of Representatives. Mr. Presiding, when there are issues of national concerns, teachers, civil servants, nurses are not taking pay. Goods and services are not being paid. Every day there are issues of liquidity problem. Directing the Minister of Finance to appear and address these issues to see how, as leaders, how together we can fix it. Mr. Presiding, the Minister deliberately refused. Let me just provide you this information. There were call plays. Even the chair on executive on our account replaced a call to him before that day. And he defied him that he's not going to appear before this body. The minister, what we in today, you have a recast budget, and the budget and the national budget of 164 million different. It's an issue that members of the 54th need to understand. Even those who will not be in the 55th need adequate information why there will be down pool of the revenue in next year of $164 million. Mr. Presiding, I urge that this body ask Minister Tweah to appear and answer to the contempt charges. He appeared our functions on many occasions. He allowed this body to assemble in session for the sole purpose of receiving the Minister of Finance to discuss national issues that he never appeared. That day, if he was not going to appear, he should have written or ahead of time. We have had different agenda issues, but we dedicated that day to him. That impeded our function that we have done different things for national issues. Mr. Presiding, distinguished colleagues, that Minister Tweah been made to appear on the contempt charges, and he justified the actions, and this body could deem it necessary to remove the contempt charges or proceed in accordance with Article 44. As so submit, sir.
So, Presiding. Who is he? The men say I run your budget. Just so yes or no.
Mr. Presiding, Mr. Presiding, distinguished colleagues, my attention towards the communication from the Minister of Finance is something that the minister usually does. And I think these kind of maneuvering by this crystal must not be allowed further in this chamber. I would think that whatever communication was served to the Minister of Finance on contempt, be as it is, and serve communication stating his excuse that is totally unwarranted. He's not ill now. Why hasn't he appeared? Matter of fact, the budget that is before us, we are on discussing other issues while we await his appearance before this, but because we cannot discuss
that national instrument in his absence with all of the ambiguities and stated therein. So he still needs to come. When he comes, maybe in the process we can discuss whether to drop the content or to go on with it. But he has to come. So I think his communication is just another means to further delay our workings and to keep the content in place.
Thank you, Honorable Sama.
Sama for me?
Yes, to justify the budget.
Yeah, Honorable Sama.
Honorable President, distinguished colleagues, I think we have dealt with this over and again. That is trying to dodge our invitation to him. That medical report, the man has stated what is wrong with him. So I think it will be prudent for us to really see what is written on that medical report, so that we will know if you are sick with such illness, you will not be able to perform your duties. It is also alleged that he has attended few activities during this period when we invited him. So I think the minister does not take us serious, and therefore we need to take drastic measure on him. The contempt charges cannot be dropped unless he comes and really tell us the reason, the validity of the sickness that he has that has deprived him from being here. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just for information, Mr. Bugatti. No, we go into our symbol, please. Yeah, the deputy minister for budget is here. The deputy minister for budget is here. Your will and pleasure.
Yeah, but let me make my first.
Okay, all right. He's right outside. Okay. All right. We'll have a wait until otherwise. Go ahead, Rosigo.
I think, as a presiding colleagues, I'm wondering if we are in line with what was written by the minister. The minister has conceded and he has asked for witness. It is left with us as a body to say yes or no. That's the key issue on that letter. But how be it, Mr. Bizarri, there is something even more important. And what is important has to do with the instrument that we received. Our understanding from this documentation is that there is a supplementary budget. Series of conversations that were held do not suggest to us that this is in line with what was discussed before in terms of shortfall and adjustment. We would have thought that this budget would rather be a reinstatement of the budget. Against that backdrop, Mr. Senator, we hope the Senator you can say we can disturb him. Please have your seat, Chief. With all due respect to the Senator. Yeah, but at least you my man so I can tell you to sit down. The Senator is not representative. So what is even more important for us is not to stick ourselves to the matter of forgiveness or not, but to insist that it is important that the minister and all his principal deputies are here to give us the necessary clarifications on this matter. Because, man, we have got few more days to close business. And this work must be done and passed on to the Senate for concurrence before we can close. There are things on the line. Based on what was presented, I'm told that 10.something million should go to the University of Liberia for compensation. There are folks that are there that are teaching, and it's very possible that if those payments are made, the school is going to start running. And so we think that the key issue now is to have the minister and all his principal deputies come so that they can give us the necessary clarifications that this reinstatement in my mind can be passed and sent to the Senate for concurrence so that Liberian people work will continue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Let's hear two more bills and we will.
Mr. Presiding.
Yes, Honorable Tweah.
Mr. Presiding. Mr. Presiding, colleagues. Well, I think this issue has been discussed successively, and I believe that what is most important here is the recast that has come before us. And since indeed someone from the Ministry of Finance is here to address the issue, I think it's most important for us to hold on to this discussion and invite the minister representative to come so that we can proceed with this recast issue.
All right.
That's my take.
All right. Any other comment? Otherwise, we'll call for a motion to suspend this discussion and invite the Deputy Minister of Finance to come in to continue our discussion on the restated budget. All right, the motion will be in order. Honorable Tweah.
Distinguished Honorable President, distinguished colleagues, taking into consideration of the many issues surrounding the recast, and particularly the institutions affected like the University of Liberia, and having earlier sent for the Minister of Finance or in accordance with the Act, and hearing that the Deputy Minister for Fiscal Affairs is here to address us on this matter, I will move if I can obtain a second that the issue of Mr. Tweah communication to the legislature expressing his regret over his failure to appear or honor invitation from the House of Representatives be tabled until we hear from the Deputy Minister of Fiscal Affairs. Thereafter, we can come back. If I can obtain a second.
It has been moved and seconded. Dear colleagues, that the discussion regarding the skills communicated to us, request for skills communicated to us by Minister Tweah be suspended, placed on hold, while we invite the Deputy Minister of Finance in to continue our discussion on the recast budget. Are you ready to vote? Yeah. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Against?
Motion for reconsideration.
Motion for reconsideration. Denied.
Motion for reconsideration.
Please approach the chair. Honorable Joshua, Honorable
For a guy, it's okay. For a guy, it's okay.
All right, so the Deputy Minister, the Minister of Finance, the Minister for Budget and Development Planning, I'm sure she's Madam Tene Bruson. Yes, Madam Tene Bruson is coming in.
No more motion of reconsideration yet.
She's coming in to answer questions. Minister Purpose Summit couldn't come, so she's here to explain. Tana Bruson is here, the Minister for Budget. The Fiscal Affairs just entered in.
They want to be executive. Even if regret the executive. I come in.
All right. Distinguished colleagues, as per the mandate of plenary, we were to invite the Ministry of Ministry of Finance and Development Planning authorities to come and discuss with us the recast budget for 2023. It is in this regard that the Deputy Minister and our team have come so that we can discuss issues related to the restated budget. At this time, we like to have the Sergeant at Arms, and Minister oath, so that our discussion here, at least presentation by the Ministry of Finance authorities, will be under oath. Sergeant at Arms.
Shall we rise, please? Raise your right hand, call your name, the institution you're representing, and repeat after me. I will solemnly swear that the testimony I am about to give, as it relates to this hearing, will be the truth. Nothing but the truth. So help me God. Now you can be seated. Honorable Presiding Officer, my distinguished honorable ladies and gentlemen of the Honorable House of Representatives, I am done, sir.
Thank you. All right. Honorable Chief Clerk, please read the communication regarding the supplemental budget.
Honorable Buffer Chambers, Speaker, the Honorable House of Representatives in section, Capitol Hill, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Mr. Speaker, and honorable members of the legislature, consistent with Part 3, Section 23 of the amended 2009 PFM Act, I'm pleased to submit for your consideration approval the accompanying draft supplemental to the fiscal year 2023 national budget in the amount of $17,500,000 United States dollars. The proposed supplemental budget will be funded by additional $17.5 million United States dollars from ArcelorMittal. On the expenditure side, the allocations are being made to programs and activities that are consistent with our national policy priorities and are too urgent to be delayed until enactment of the national or the next annual appropriations. The major appropriations include A. Minimum wage adjustment, 6 million, 34%. B. UL compensation shortfall, 10,500,000, 60%. C. Compensation related, 1 million, 6%. The chart. Fiscal year 2023 supplemental budget proposal. We have revenue, restated budget, adjustment, and proposed supplemental. The revenue. Approved restated budget. Restated budget. $771,745,818. Proposed supplemental, $771,745,818. ArcelorMittal adjustments, $17,500,000. Proposed supplemental, $17,500,000. Total proposed revenue, $789,245,818. Expenditure. Approved restated budget. Restated budget, $771,745,818. Proposed supplemental, $771,745,818. Supplemental expenditure. Minimum wage adjustments, 6 million. UL compensation staff shortfall adjustment, 10,500,000. Compensation related adjustment, 1 million. Proposed supplemental, 17,500,000. Expenditure, $789,245,818. Note: the wage bill is not to go below $150, which His Excellency Honorable George M. Weah included in the national speech in January fiscal year 2023, and which the legislature did not include in the revised budget, is what caused the pay disparity. The free tuition policy, which increased the number of students in a class, is another important factor contributing to the pay difference. To bridge the wage gap in fiscal year 2023, the government is requesting approval of the supplemental budget in light of the aforementioned. Justifications. The below $150 minimum wage, $50 minimum wage adjustment is in line with a presidential proclamation to adjust salaries of civil servants whose earnings are below US $150. UL compensation adjustment aims to fill gaps due to enrollment and the need for additional faculty, as well as adjustment to certain category of personnel compensation. Compensation-related appropriation addresses needs across government, especially in critical sectors like health, education, and security. Mr. Speaker, I look forward to the legislature's deliberation and passage of this supplemental budget in order to provide the resources required to continue the work of reconstruction and poverty reduction in our country. Sincerely, George M. Weah Sr. Mr. Presiding Officer, Co-Presiding Officer, distinguished honorable ladies and gentlemen, that is a reading of the communication from the President of the Republic of Liberia on the supplemental budget. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Clerk and Deputy Chief Clerk acting. The communication is before us. Any comments, specific questions, clarification that we need from the team from Finance Ministry? Honorable Dopo.
Honorable Presiding, Co-Presiding, distinguished colleagues. Bearing in mind that the minister and team, they are here to respond to concern on the basis that this is a committee of whole discussing the restated or supplemental budget. In my mind, Honorable Presiding, I need us to first start with identifying clearly the revenue. The revenue is 17.5 million with a source of ArcelorMittal. Any of us here will say, yeah, the source is clear. No, when it comes to generating revenue, that source is not still clear. Because we need to know the level of attachment. Is this a revenue and arrears from Metal in terms of money that they owe the government and about to pay, or they are paid, or is an advance payment to the government? If it is a arrear or due payment, we need to know the actual lines for our revenue. Is it a bonus? Is it from the corporate tax payment as a result of audit? Is it royalty? From ArcelorMittal, we need to know, or signature bonus, whatever the case is. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Any other questions that you
Number one.
I'm taking notes.
All right, so
thank you, Mr. Presiding. I hope the minister is going to give me the necessary correction. Is that we have performed as far as our original budget is concerned. And what is being presented to us is additional revenue that they cannot use because, again, we've not allocated. That's the picture that has been painted to us from this presentation. I just like to know from the minister that because we run a cash-based balanced budget, it will imply to any layman, except there are technical issues that our cross-section of us may not know, it will imply to us that every budget line from the expenditure side has been executed because we did not fall short of budget. 771 million from budget side, from the revenue side. And since that we have performed, meaning that we actually raised 771, it means that we expended 771, which also implied that to a larger extent, because each of our lines and expenditure side are tied to the 771, it would suggest to me that significantly, or almost every budget line was paid for. I just want the record to show if the minister can confirm that all of those have been done, or are there pending payments in the system that will cover us up all of those expenditures that have not been done tied to the 771. I just want the record to show, then I can do a follow-up based on the response that will be made by the minister. Huh?
Folks, we are here in the House of Representatives, where the Deputy Minister for Budget and Fiscal Affairs and Development Planning is being questioned. Deputy Minister for Budget and Development Planning is being questioned here on how the budget performs.
Honorables, members of the Subclass Party. I'm here representing the Ministry of Finance. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I will respond based on information I'm knowledgeable about. Okay, you can hear me now?
Madam.
Hello? Can you hear me now? Okay. And so I will respond to the questions based on information I'm knowledgeable about. You asked, one of the questions I think was about the source of the revenue in question. And from my understanding, it results from the purchase transaction of EML for the Solway Mining Company. And that's where this money comes from. And on the EML and Solway, EML purchase of Solway Mining. So the revenue generated from that sale was 17 million. And that's the source of the money. And then Honorable Sibu asked, he had a question with regard to the envelope for this year, based on the recently restated budget. The projections that we have for the year end, according to the revenue folks, it falls short by $100 million. And because of that, we might not be able to meet all of the expenditures that are outstanding.
All right. Let's do the observation.
100 million budget shortfall, the minister has said, which is reflecting into the recast. The recast is a picture of increase in revenue.
Like we previously said in our deliberations, President and the Premise Chief, that we requested the finance ministers to appear, or some of the deputies, that the budget minister is here. Mr. Presiding, distinguished colleagues, I will observe, and if every member of this body we have the same observation, now the testimonies of the Minister of Budget is far different from the presentations to us. The presentations to us indicate that there's an increment in revenue. But in your testimonies you said, the guys who are working on the revenue, giving their information, answering to Honorable Sibo and questions, that there's a shortfall of 100 million. So if there's a shortfall of 100 million, they reduce the revenue envelope to 671 plus a windfall for asset metals on 2 million, we increase it to 689 instead of 789. So like I said previously, I think the ministers, the president or the ministry can do us a justice by recording this communication and resubmitting it in the proper way that this AUKUS body will make a decision that will have an impact on the Liberian people alive. Thank you.
Observation is noted on Refusal.
I was just concerned again. He tried to get is that the minister has given us an eye opener in terms of what the real situation is. Our own position, like he just stated, is that then the presentation would not have been just a supplement to a budget, but it will be more like a reinstatement because there's going to be a drop in revenue and additional new revenue. Now, if that is the case, then we just need to be able to fine-tune what the minister has presented. But then there is a second leg to that, because if there is a drop in revenue, it means expenditures that we have already earmarked from the original budget won't have been executed. And if that is the case, then we cannot be finding room for new expenditure or expenditures that were as of the result of a shortfall of 100 million were not executed. So there are some divergence in the entire picture that we want to ask the minister if it is possible. Maybe there are some other technical information the minister can give us, but I would think that it appears to me that this is more of a reinstatement, and if that is the case, then we would think that the additional 17 million may not necessarily be used for the new expenditures that are being captured, because there are expenditures already that have not been executed based on the shortfall that the minister has already spoken about. If that is the case, maybe the minister can give us additional information that will serve as a premise on us going forward. But one thing that is important, Mr. President, is that there are key expenditure issues that must be executed. And again, we are grateful that the minister, I don't know about what means the sales was done, because again, we did not see anything coming here. That's another issue. But at least there is additional revenue that can salvage some expenditures that are not being captured. Thank you so very much, Mr. Zarin, for the opportunity.
All right, folks, we are here. So the debate is ongoing. The testimony by the minister shows that there's a 100 million budget contrary to what is presented.
Honorable Presiding, the same way coding. I know that the minister said she will be answering questions on the basis of information available to her. So I wouldn't want to push much on the 17 billion souls. However, I think we need to first clear the source of the money before we start to distribute it. If this is a capital gain, the LIA will tell exactly how the transaction went, whether it's the actual consideration for that transaction we need to do. Yeah, no, I'm coming. No, they have to tell us from LIA. The minister said she providing information on the basis of available ones. She's not the actual person to tell us exactly how the 17.5 is about. But in summary, it's for the sale of an entity which the final estimator is not an SOE, so that will be a capital gain for that sale that we put on the tax. It's not a contribution from the Liberia government. I want to say that clearly. So with that, Madam Minister, I am concerned that the recast revenue has still to be corrected. It's kind of confusing to me, and maybe to some of my colleagues. The last time we raised the revenue, the average recast budget posted on the 10th of July 2023 on the Ministry of Finance website indicate that the recast budget is 759 million. 759 million. Now we come and we are at 771 million. Did we do a second or a supplemental? Because we're in election, people can forget. So maybe we did a supplement will come to 771, but we raised 23 million in July and we came to 759. You can correct that for us. If we are there at 771, like Honorable Sibo said, the minister letter or the president letter, as advised by the minister, is not reading well to the Liberian people, because it is telling us that everything is intact. Everything intact, and we should just find we got 17 million FR for additional expenditure. That letter should be clear to the Liberian people that indeed, because when I know that there is a 100 million shortfall, I should be aware that in Sino County, the hospital will not get the money it being budgeted for. I should know that in Babulu County, the Emory Hospital will not get the money as budgeted for, because there is a potential shortfall. And if it doesn't step so, and we appear that we are fat and find different expenditure, I see trouble. That document is not speaking to the Liberian people. Thank you.
Let's allow the minister. Well, there's going to be a 3-man show here? All right,
so folks, that is it.
On the classification, according to my revenue team, I think according to him, LRA has not yet determined the classification for that extra money that came in. So I wouldn't know what it is. Pardon me? The classification of the money.
The money that came in has not been classified yet by LRA. All right.
And the concerns of Mr. Duopo, I kind of agree with you. I think maybe we didn't explain the details of the current circumstances that we face. But right now we have challenges in meeting many of our obligations. And I think one of them, the main thing, is on compensation. You can see that we have 1 million projected for compensation and related. The president also made a proclamation to carry everybody that made below $150 to above that amount. And as a result of that exercise, if your supervisor was making $150 and they brought you up to $150, the supervisor's pay was up so that you won't be at the same level with your supervisor. So that's what the impact was, about $6 million for that adjustment that we had to make.
All right. Can I make my input for? Okay, Honorable Steve, you can go ahead and make input for progress.
Yeah. Mr. Presiding colleagues, considering the importance of this passage, and bearing in mind there are key issues as raised by the minister that are cardinal to the agenda of the president, specifically considering the upliftment of our adjustment in our minimum wage of our citizens that are doing work and they are below. I think that we need to reconvene, allowing the minister to be discharged now, to do some housekeeping on the presentation, so that tomorrow we reconvene. And if I can be allowed to put that into motion, I'd like to move, Mr. Presiding, if I can be seconded.
So they may call me?
year like, for progress. We just begging for progress. That we allow, I move every second that the minister be discharged and reappear tomorrow, making all of the relevant adjustments based on the discussions that have been across the floor, and that this quorum be used as the quorum for our meeting tomorrow to ensure that the work is completed and the passage is done and sent to the Liberian Senate for concurrence. If I'm going to in a second.
The passage is done tomorrow.
Their motion.
Why didn't somebody say second? Their motion.
That means you added it to add tomorrow.
Yeah, you can make an adjustment.
They can say tomorrow.
If you are not
They can say tomorrow, they say tomorrow. Like, that's what they want to hear.
Okay, then you may have
Discussion, then moved and seconded.
Make an adjustment.
Moved and seconded.
In your way.
Yeah, been moved and seconded. This time, then I will reconvene morning. Yeah. At which time the Ministry of Finance will be in a better, position to present to us information that will satisfy our concerns given the nature of the discussion. It has been moved and seconded. What is your will? Are you ready to vote?
Ready. Wow.
Okay. Readiness.
Anybody will not be here in their awareness. I will not agree.
Honorable Joe.
You want to give Mr. Refusal, police, to the movement. Mr. Movement, I will be ready to vote for you to consider this simple amendment. The fact that primary has constituted itself into a committee of hope, and that the passage of the supplementary is important, and there are agencies that are to benefit from the supplementary budget. I will be ready to vote for you to consider that the entities that will benefit from the supplementary budget be present. And those entities are the LRA, they're not benefiting by the raising the revenue. The LRA, the University of Liberia, and the Civil Service Agency, along with the Deputy Minister of Finance, to include Fiscal Affairs and the Minister proper, be made present tomorrow. I'll be ready. Sound man.
Movement and reaction.
It's going to be accepted and rejected based on what we want to achieve. The first thing is we are going back to the minister to make some adjustments, so it will imply that the benefit the entities that all benefit may not necessarily benefit if it is a restatement. So on that note, the UL and civil service are denied. The LRA I accept because we need to understand the real source of the 17.5 million. The minister and his principal deputies are also accepting the process. The only rejection will be on the receiving entities because, again, there may be some alterations based on what will be adjusted based on the minister's new presentation.
All right.
Already. Amen.
Already.
Yeah, no.
Along with the foundation of the. They may have put them on with me. I tell you what we do.
Yeah,
Mr. Presiding, Mr. Presiding, fellow colleagues, I must thank the I know I'm still favor on inauguration. You are not being inaugurated. I thank the minister for the brilliant presentation, but I do not want us to be spectators because we do not have copies of the documents that is being discussed. So I will be ready to vote if copies are distributed to all of us, so that we'll be speaking from an informed position. Thank you.
So, contingent on the fact that we have asked that the minister be made to do some relevant corrections, this presentation cannot be made right now. It will imply that after she should have done all the back, she comes in tomorrow, she can be required to give us some presentations to the individuals. But as it is now, the presentation cannot be made because there will be some adjustments that will be made. Because we have the response she cannot present this now because we are telling her to carry the submission back. No. Oh man, that was my motion. Hello. I have the movement. My motion is that the minister be made to go back and make the relevant adjustments because there are some divergence on the presentation vis-a-vis the intent. So let's keep that up.
No season. So then your reaction to the unreadiness for Rosaza is that
no, she will be presentation
tomorrow morning. Your readiness, at all. Unless she used to you.
I will be ready to vote if he can take back almost his last voice, which stated that we will pass the supplemental tomorrow. If he can take that portion back and say as the need may arise, I will be ready to vote.
Accepted.
Already, Mr. President. Already, Mr. President. Already.
No, it is wrong with
Are you doing your job, Mr. President? No. Mr. President, that's the microphone there. We hearing you, my man. No, I want you to hear me good. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, and to the People's Choice of New Town, and to the movement, Honorable Civil, I'll be ready to vote. I'll be ready to vote.
We are protected.
Owing to the fact with the new discovery from the Deputy Minister for Budget that the budget is experiencing a shortfall of 100 million. This put the situation at a more agreed than it appears that the minister will be made to appear with details of incident.
I kind of phrase that. Always at deliberation. That will bring us. Yeah, man. Go to the substantive of it.
The minister be made to appear with details of those institutions affected by the 100 million shortfall